No more spaghetti discourse.
Why do we always do this? Why do we end the pre-show with the best discussion topic?
It's the appeal. All right. Welcome. Well,
Where are we? What sort of celestial body and/or containment center are we in?
we're in the containment center Moon, and we're on the celestial body prison.
Oh, I think you got that mixed up, buddy.
I think that's you.
Oh,
Yeah. Welcome to Moon Prison.
The what?
Moon Prison.
Moon prison. I think I got on the wrong bus. Fuck! I was trying to go to prison. Moon.
You took a nap on the
that was-
bus, and you woke up like
Yeah.
6 stops past where you were supposed to get off.
Yeah, every fucking time. Jeez.
Yeah, honestly. Have it. Real quick, have either of you actually done that? Fallen asleep on
Yeah.
the bus? Yeah.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. Okay. It only happened to me once.
I
Yeah,
did
well,
it on the
I-
school bus.
Not anymore. Yeah, but like when I was busing home from college, actually,
Mm.
I used to always just pass out,
Yeah.
and then I would like wake up at the end of the line, which is like not like unwalkable to my house, but like a good half hour.
F.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I-
in
yeah.
Canada.
Yeah, and that sometimes it was like middle of winter, like
Yeah.
minus 20 something.
Yeah, I've only fallen asleep on like the school bus when I was young, never a public bus. And there's no end of line on the school bus. They have to take you home, you know. So it
All
worked
right,
out,
let's-
I guess.
No more fun discussion.
No more. This is serious talk.
Yeah, we hate music so much that we get like aggressively angry whenever we talk about it. Speaking
I thought
of
that was just me.
Welcome to Prison Moon. We're going to talk about an album. We're going to talk about a Godspeed You Black Emperor album.
Can I get that one more time without any voice crack?
A Godspeed You Black Emperor album.
Devil's Strength, White Peasant.
Huh?
Devil's Strength, White Peasant.
I get it. Well, you missed
Hey.
Devil Strength me, white peasant. That's what you want.
Devil's Strength, me. There you go.
Yeah, okay. I understand. What
Question mark
album
as
are we
well
talking?
instead of the exclamation
Strength
mark.
me question. Exactly.
What album are we talking about?
Hallelujah.
Product
Don't
by
bend.
Sophie.
Ass end.
Ass End. This is not.
Ass
We're not at
End.
the end yet. We're not done yet. We're not at the ass end. I'm talking about Allelujah, Don't Bend, Ascend by Godspeed You Black Emperor.
That's what I said.
Well, you're
exactly
fired
what I
is
said.
the problem.
All right, it's been real.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. This is the 5th album. We're now post a 10-year break. And so...
Is this 5th or 4th? I thought it was 4th, no?
well, 4th album, 5th episode.
Wikipedia calls it the 4th.
Yeah, because there's an EP in there.
Yeah, we did the EP.
We did the EP, and that messed me up. Shut
Yeah,
up.
we did do the EP.
Let's talk about this album. Do y'all like this album? Wyatt, what do you think about
I
this
did.
album?
I liked it.
All right. What do you?
I didn't love it. I liked it though. Yeah.
Damn. Well, what?
Yeah.
Why? All right, give me your.
Why? I don't know. Nothing has hit quite like those first two that we covered. And I it's not like the craftsmanship has like deteriorated by any means. Like it's still like as impressive of a display of like a collection of people like just playing their instruments real good, you know? But like I don't know. I feel like they more so with every album are sort of like coasting on the original premise without reinforcing any like artistic messaging with anything like new per se. It's the same message executed as well, but at this point I'm I'm less in awe of it because it is, you know, it just has worn out over time. My impression, my appreciation for like what is so unique about what is being done by this group, because it's continuing to be done, you know.
You're gonna be continuing to be done.
That's a really hot take.
I guess. I mean, you know, and like I push back on it, you know, like I'm not
Peter,
like,
give me yours.
yeah. I'm not a musical critic. Like if there are things that are
Yet.
new and distinct going on that I'm just
Yeah,
missing, please like enlighten me. But like,
Yeah, I think it's
yeah.
worth noting that like we're discussing, we're music discussers, not music critics.
Right.
Two of
Yes.
us.
Two of us.
Two of us are
Yeah,
discussers.
as of
or
today,
two
as of
us are
today,
critics?
as of today, one of us is a critic. I'm sorry.
Okay, but the Prison Moon podcast is still a discussion podcast.
It's true.
Yes.
Until we review their new album coming out next month.
Right.
Anyways,
Yeah.
Peter.
I guess to well, just real quick to summarize what I was saying. I guess it's just like I'm not getting anything particularly new out of this album that I haven't got from the others in like a more appreciable form, I suppose, is where I am sitting with it. But I do still respect it and admire it. Yeah.
Peter, push back on it. Push back on it. Fight him.
I thought this was a really kick-ass return.
Than Yankee UXO.
Yeah.
I will
for
say
sure,
that.
for sure more than Yankee, which I still think Yankee.
Yankee, I think, is
Yankee.
the best
that
way
was
to do
it.
it.
Yankee.
That's what we agreed on. Yeah, I don't know. I think the production on this one I like a lot more too, and that might be
Mhm.
like a big part of it. But this one felt like grimier and like more droney, and I don't know, it was just like more of like a really dark and like spooky atmosphere.
Yeah.
That I think was like, I don't know, I've never really heard music evoke that space as effectively.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty fucking good.
Hell yeah, you did. You know who else thought that? Me. I'm glad you like picked up on a lot of that stuff. Like the production for sure is just
Yeah.
incredibly different. It's very
And the violins, fuck.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah, shout out to Sophie Trudeau.
yeah, Justin Trudeau's relative. No. But yeah, the production especially and the instrumentation as a whole, it's much heavier. It almost gets to like kind of a drone metally space at some points, just like way more sonically crushing. There's way more distortion on a lot of the instruments. And it's also just got these darker melodies, and I also like the way that this album is structured, where it's got like your one big bombastic piece, and then you've got a 6-minute ambient piece, and then another 20-minute big bombastic piece, and then another 20-minute another 6-minute ambient piece.
Yeah, it's paced well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably I think it's paced a little better than Yankee. Or
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I think almost every 1-to-1 comparison, this is an improvement over Yankee.
Yeah, but I think we also have to like compare it to earlier shit too.
Yeah. And I think this is paced I would say about equally well as F sharp A sharp.
I would agree with that, I think. Yeah.
Not quite, but it's pretty
About.
fucking like
Yeah.
yeah. About okay.
But yeah, I this thing's awesome. I had not heard this album very much before. Like I'd heard it enough times that I could still like hum along to some of the sections when I first listened to it again starting up, but like I didn't have any of this memorized or anything like that. And that's going to be a theme going forward. I mean, the next two albums I've only heard once, and I heard them like 2 years ago. So this is basically as new to me as it is to you.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Do you want to give us like any context about the reunion
I don't actually
or
know
the
context
or,
about the reunion.
or the breakup even?
They just kind of stopped, I think.
Yeah, I think I remember reading.
They just
Uh,
stopped for 10 years?
yeah, I think they just wanted to like pursue stuff separately.
Yeah, they also had like other side projects in between then.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
most even most of the members of Godspeed started other side projects that weren't Godspeed. Um, yeah, I genuinely don't know anything else beyond that. But,
Okay, fair.
but let's get
Um,
into
Can we talk about the Polaris Prize real quick?
do it.
Yeah. Okay, so this album won the Polaris Prize in 2013,
What's the
which is like
Polaris Prize?
it's a Canadian Music Award,
Yeah.
like a nationwide music award. So like let's see, Purity Ring, Tegan and Sarah were nominated, Colin Stetson, Metric. Anyways, this album won, and the band was like roasting the prize and like the gala. So like they got some criticism for that. I've got a quote here. Organizing a gala just so musicians can compete against each other for a novelty-sized check doesn't serve the cause of righteous music at all. Maybe the next celebration should happen in a credier hall without the corporate banners and culture overlords.
Based.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
Um, Apparently, they donated the prize money to a Quebec-based program for music education in prisons.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Very
and that's
based.
why we're here. We're funded by that.
There you go.
Hell yeah. And for that, you have to give this album a 10, Wyatt.
Yes.
All right, let's get started. First track is Melodic. That's how
I get it.
Yeah.
haha.
Hey.
This is the only track with a vocal field recording.
Yes, and just at the start.
Yeah, just right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Do y'all read anything into this field recording? I think I do, but I'd be curious to hear if either of you have any takes.
I think with his arms outstretched is like hands in the air, like you're giving up, or you're like not armed.
Yeah.
Is,
I think
is that correct? So they're like shooting an innocent person?
I can see that for sure.
I could. That is an interpretation I've had. Yeah.
Okay.
I certainly connected to like the actual title of the album. You know, it's your arms are outstretched, presumably for like above your head, towards the heavens. The title is Allelujah, don't bend, descend, which I take to mean like hallelujah is just like a kind of like heavenly praise sort of phrase, I guess. So it's kind of like
Almost like they're lifting their skinny fists.
almost like that, yeah.
Almost.
But it's like if I could interpret like just the title of the album would just be like that you should not bend over or kiss boots, like don't let your will be suppressed, ascend beyond causes is righteous. And so I think that that field recording to start is just like a sort of reinforcement of that idea.
That's kind of what I see as well. With the sonics of this record and that opening thing and just the title and everything, I see this almost as like a sequel to Skinny Fists in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because that was a very spiritual record in a lot of ways. And where Yankee was not really a sequel to that, it was more just a reaction post 9/11. I felt this
Yeah.
does feel like a return to that kind of narrative they've been building slowly between F sharp, A sharp, and Lift Your Skinny Fists and this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my read. There's a couple other minor field recordings throughout the record, but this is the only one with words. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so we start up with that, and it opens up into our first drone, which is immediately more distorted and, like I said, almost drone metally, with this really crunchy guitar playing the same two notes incredibly slowly as there's these like raindrop like screwdriver hits coming in. They're really dissonant, but the more they get repeated, the more melodic they get. And as the light strings in the background build and sound gets a lot larger, we start to hear some radio distortion faintly in the background. And the screwdrivers are replaced by this rattling rhythm that gradually gets accompanied by the drums, which finally come around 5 minutes. And immediately the production has taken on a completely different vibe to the band's old material. It's far heavier and dirtier and more aggressively rock, far more overdriven, and the guitars are a lot more aggressive throughout. Over the droning drum line, there's this harsh guitar riff bouncing off a couple smaller interpretations of similar riffs, and the guitar has so much like searing feedback. It feels like it's gonna catch on fire. And when the drums kick in beyond the just being the kick and snare, doubling the time, the soundscape gets way more crunchy and almost like shoegazy. It's not quite what I'd call like lo-fi, but it's definitely crunchier than usual, and it really works here on this record. There's an amazing riff around like 850. And this is the moment when I first listened that I knew this was going to be one of my favorite of their records. When the bass breaks through the mix and plays that interpolation of the riff, the sound is just really overwhelming and really incredible. Around 11:10, the instrumentation devolves into just distorted feedback and noise over this awesome and continued bass line before it collides back into the same riff as before, and eventually slows down to another droning and really doom metal-esque pace. The way the bass crunches alongside the snare and the crash of this low tempo sounds really incredibly similar to the way Swans sounded around this time as well. I don't know if you noticed, there were a couple times on this record, Peter, where I was
gonna
noticing.
say, like, I'm starting to notice trends. Like, I'm not too familiar with like 2010s post rock, but like just the few ones that I know, they all got like heavier and like
Yeah.
noisier and like kind of almost drony. I don't know, it just seems, based on the few ones that I know, all these bands have done it around this time.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the 90s and like 2000s, it was more like ethereal and like slow paced and
yeah.
I guess this is still slow paced, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
But yeah, I can see the Swans comparison for sure.
yeah, I'm mostly just talking about the bass tone around here, around like 12 minutes ish. But yeah, at like 13:30, so this track is kind of two sections, not as
Only
much
two?
as, well, two main arcs.
Okay.
A lot of tracks are split up into like mini segments that aren't labeled, but like there are arcs across these tracks that I always tend to notice. At around 13:30, we get this really chilling guitar line that's accompanied by the rest of the instrumentation accordingly, and eventually divulges into these really dissonant harmonies that somehow manage to resolve beautifully after about a minute before exploding into another fantastic segment that turns into the ending drone. This like long drawn out note that goes and goes and goes as the drums start to go crazy, and this segment makes me think my record is skipping every time because it's just playing the same thing over this drone, and it goes for long enough that I I have to go check for a second. and it just accelerates and accelerates before eventually just goes back to that same awesome riff from a couple minutes before. Eventually it finishes with like a bang and leaves more harsh noise in its wake, that eventually turns into this jangly and almost tribal sounding field recording of a bunch of drums and bells that leads into the next track. And that's another thing. There are a lot of noise elements in this album that I think are
Yeah.
really interesting. As someone who's getting more into noise myself recently, it's welcome. But yeah, that's melodic, and then we get the second track, which is our first ambient track. This one's not as ambient as the second one, but it is definitely still ambient, at least drone.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, it's really good.
This one is like really deeply. I didn't know what of until I actually like glanced down, listening for the first time, and read the title, which like is which you haven't said yet, so I will announce. I will reveal the title. Their Helicopters Sing, which is
It's very
just-
evocative.
yeah, like it's so dystopian sounding, both the title itself but also the track. I really feel like I'm like hidden away somewhere trying to avoid a searchlight, you know, like that kind of vibe to it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that is one thing that I will always find impressive, despite how I like opened the dialogue about this. But like the thing I will always find impressive about Godspeed is their ability to like tell a story with like maybe a couple of words, but mostly the sound.
Yeah.
And that's like so well embodied on this track.
Yeah, and like often no words too.
Yeah,
Right,
and even
yeah.
if there are words, there's like 20 minutes in between the words, right? Like
Yeah.
Well,
I
when I
really
say
like,
words, I mean the title as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like if you're looking at the track list while you're going through this, as soon as the track starts, you're gonna like associate those sounds with helicopters, even though it's like much slower.
Mm.
Yeah, this one's like really eerie and um it's like uneasy but in a good way. Like you're getting like what did Wyatt say? Like you're hiding from someone?
From like
Yeah,
helicopter
like
searchlights.
yeah,
Hiding
hidden
from
away,
helicopters?
hiding from a searchlight. Yeah.
This feels like a really intense build up to something. Which we've already seen Godspeed excel at.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I see this as like we already talked about this album being like dronier. I feel like even just with the title, their helicopters sing. That's also like reinforcing that because that's like a with music. But like repetition, all that, and I feel like the strings are really doing that here. Yeah, it's kind of like a propeller being slowly wound up. Like strings, I think for the most part, might be some wind instruments. Is that all strings?
I'm not quite sure. There is bagpipe.
Yeah, bagpipes come in too.
Let's go.
Yeah, so it has like this like screechy atmosphere of like really tense violins, cellos, double bass, I'm guessing, and like bagpipes. Which yeah, typically aren't my favorite instruments. Like
Wow,
they can
What are you
coward.
talking about, Peter? What are you talking about?
they can be a bit grating if they're not like masterfully played, and they are masterfully played here. So
Yeah.
they pulled it off. They made a fantastic track out of instruments I'm not usually fond of.
Yeah. Yeah, so I one thing before I talk about the actual track, I found this on the vinyl copy of the record, which I have, I noticed this. It says for Lucanicos. And so I looked into that, and Lucanicos is the Greek word for sausage, first of all.
Let's go.
But but that was the name of a stray dog that joined up with protesters in Greece against police in 2011. And
His name was Sausage?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
and the
That's
dog
adorable.
the dog had like serious health issues after that from inhaling tear gas, but like still
Yeah.
lived for another bunch of years until 2014.
What
And
a fucking champ.
what like what a
Oh.
fucking champ, but also just like how
Yeah.
based is it to dedicate a side of your record to that dog?
Yeah, what the
Yeah.
hell?
It's real good. So is this song. Yeah, this is the first of two ambient pieces. This one's got Peter, have you heard The Glow Part 2 by the Microphones?
Yeah.
Okay, you know how it's got that like chime all throughout the record that especially on the last track is just droning throughout?
Maybe it's been a while, but yeah.
Okay, well there is like that is a repeating thing, is there's this chime that plays throughout, and it in the last track it kind of builds up the soundscape. But something very, very similar to that is in this track kind of near the beginning, but it gradually gets enveloped in this soundscape that is initially gorgeous, but as the bass growl begins to grow more prominent, it gets a lot darker and more dissonant. The bagpipes playing out of tune and the increasing scale of the bass eventually getting nearly unbearable, just incredible. The way it subtly resolves toward the end into something
Those are
more
some-
typically beautiful is kind
Those
of
are
genius.
some demonic bagpipes.
Yeah. I think it's really cool how a lot of the time when they build up this massive dissonance, they don't resolve it in any dramatic way. They very subtly shift back into something major or more
Yeah.
positive. It's
Or,
really
or-
interesting.
or they just let it hang.
Oh yeah, or they just let it
Yeah.
hang for forever. But yeah, this track has like peaks and valleys like any bombastic Godspeed song, but the fact that they work it into what is ostensibly an ambient piece is really amazing. Yeah, we're on to the other big boy track called We Drift Like Worried Fire. This one is pretty like solidly split into two segments, in a similar way to how a lot of songs on F sharp A sharp were. There's like basically a cut in between. But yeah, any thoughts on we Drift Like Worried Fire?
I love I guess it's just the guitar that kicks in like about 3 minutes into this track and sort of like carries through a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's I feel comforted by it in a way, I suppose. And it's nice to have that in after like, a very dystopian track previously, and through, kind of like there are intense moments on this track as well, but like having that through line, at least through that part of it, is like, it's nice. And of course, it's everything at play here is just very good. But that really sticks out to me, like when that guitar comes in and around exactly.
Yeah.
That was the moment where I like clicked with this track, I think.
Well, it's good to click that early, because then you've got another 17 minutes of track left. Peter, any thoughts? No thoughts, head empty. I think Peter might be disappeared for a second. I'll get started. But yeah, so the first half of this one opens with a drone. You want to try that one again?
I sneezed.
Try it again. Do it again.
What do you mean try it again?
Do it.
I sneezed. I can't sneeze again. I'm not you. I don't sneeze like 3 times rapid fire.
Oh wait, was that actually muted?
Yeah.
Yes, you are muted.
Oh, I
Okay,
thought you
wait.
just like
I,
left.
no, I thought you were fucking with me for like
No.
good 30 seconds there. I totally forgot I was muted. Okay. Um, what was the question?
This track.
We drift like warrior fire. Yes, this track is like it's like the hopeful, the optimistic, and like triumphant track.
Totally.
Um, which I think is really cool because we always talk about Godspeed being like cinematic and epic. Um,
But the good
and
guys always kind of
part
lose on their
and
albums, right?
but like part of that is the way they structure them, and they have like the same arc that a story would. Um, but what I think is cool about this one is it's kind of like inverted. Um, where like usually you have like a um characters are doing all right and they have a couple hiccups, and then the climax is like darkest moment. Here it's like instantly apocalyptic and like terrifying and helicopters singing and shit, and then you get like the hopeful, the uplifting moment where usually you would have the opposite.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. You still have those ups and downs, but you have them um, not in the places they would usually be. Um, I think Wyatt mentioned the those like smooth guitars that pop in at like 3 minutes.
Yeah, they. Well, I think they start out as a banjo, and then it switches to guitar.
Is it? It's
Yeah,
a string of some kind.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I
this
can
remi-
it's a
identify.
plucked
this
string.
reminds me of like some um, like really slow math rock, like American football style, or like This Town Needs Guns, like emo math rock.
Do 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 do.
Yeah, this is just like a really mellowed out version of that.
Yeah.
Which is really comforting. It's like a really warm sound,
We
and
should talk
it's
about that
kind of
album.
like it's definitely welcomed um on a drony, dark journey like this. Um, you need some uplifting moments too. Um, there was one other cool moment I wanted to note. It was like right after the climax at like when like all the instruments have like joined together.
You cut out on my end. What time?
Oh, it's like a bit after 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Um,
I actually wrote that moment down as well. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, so like up till then you have like minutes and minutes of like all these instruments being added on and building up and climbing and climbing and climbing, and then you get to 10 minutes and it's just like the guitar going and like this little buzzing in the background, and then like at 10 minutes and 25 it cuts out and it's just that one lone guitar
Yeah, it is.
playing by itself. Like
It's so good.
it's so good, and like I just don't know how to describe it. Like it's a beautiful moment. Um, it's as if you were like um you're running up a mountain or something, and you jump off the top, and you like instead of falling, you just fly up. It's like you just like fly and you soar for like a good 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. It's
It's amazing. I love it.
it's so good. Yeah, so yeah, the first half of this song kind of opens with a drone that turns into that fantastic main banjo riff over these really grinding strings. Once again, it gradually builds an accompaniment. The subtleties of the backing instrumental here are really something to behold, and they show me how much there really is to dig in here. The screwdrivers come in and very gently scream over this and give it a more alien feel akin to kind of what we saw in Skinny Fists. And when the banjo is replaced by guitars, by this lone guitar, it's immediately back to that old school Godspeed, and the bass is more the the bass and more guitars slowly build up and add on, and when the drums and the glockenspiel come in simultaneously with this grinding distortion in the left channel, it's some of the most dynamic the band had sounded in 12 years. The beautiful strings here really give it that emotional and very nostalgic feel for the older records that I can only imagine was like a fantastic sight in 2012 after so long. The violin lightly soloing is another moment here that never leaves me, and the pounding drums get more and more intense and build gradually to greater and greater heights. There's, like you said, just a massive sense of triumph in hearing the band do what they were always kind of known for, but to just an amazing and near perfect degree after all this time. And it just feels like such a great comeback moment of it's like we never really left. And what's interesting is it doesn't ever really explode in the way you'd expect it to. Instead, it rests at this huge peak and lets you bask in it before it kind of just drops and gives way to this single bowed guitar and this tiny set of clean guitars. It kind of is, yeah, like it is nostalgia baiting, but it is done just so well. And when the rest of the strings come in and start creating dissonance, it just feels so good. And then around 11 minutes, we get to the second half. And like Godspeed tends to in these longer tracks, it gets dark as fuck. The key descends into minor with the shrieking strings and an ominous guitar drone and this massive kick drum. At around 12 minutes, there's this just incredible and like unprecedented cymbal work here. It is rivaling when I mentioned my favorite drum line of all time on Skinny Fists. This is rivaling that. It's just like so devilish and evil in a way that I didn't expect. And when the lower strings come in with these huge and evil set of two notes, it's some of the most cathartic music the band has put out, and I can't help but like grit my teeth and grin every time. And just from there, it grows in the way you expect Godspeed tracks to grow, which is to say, fantastically. And a little bit before 15 minutes, the drums proper kick in alongside this grimy and almost like buzzsaw bass. And the kinetic energy here is some of the most intense yet, and it's it very subtly switches to major at some point. I can never quite pinpoint when it happens. It's really easy to miss, but before you know it, you're back into just another positive, triumphant climax that cuts off a little too soon and leaves just this valley of quiet instrumentation before building back up for the last 3 minutes, and then just has another climax and leaves us with this last ambient piece. This is We Drift Like Worried Fire as a whole is like probably a top 3 Godspeed track that I've heard.
It's really good.
It's so good.
I think something worth noting about those two like triumphant sections is that the second one is like a lot more evil.
Yeah.
Like it picked up whatever was building like in that middle section there.
Yeah, it's so good. I could talk forever about that like cymbal riff at 12 minutes. It's amazing. It is so good. Yeah, now we're on the last track, this last ambient track, which I'm more comfortable calling an ambient track than the last one. It is certainly an actual ambient piece.
Yeah.
But yeah, thoughts on this one? It's short.
Yeah, before getting into
relatively short. It's short for Godspeed, yes.
Very much so. Yeah, do we have any ideas of the title on this before
Strung Like Lights at the Printemps Érable is probably a place.
They're Montreal based, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to see.
Yeah, wait. I searched Printemps Érable. I got 2012 Quebec student protests.
Oh.
This
album came out 2012.
Yeah, I think it was the Carré Rouge. Could be wrong. Nathan, do you remember that at all?
I would have been 10.
Did you have to learn about that at homeschool?
No, my parents don't care about Quebec.
Okay, so Carré Rouge was the early 2010s. The Quebec government was going to um raise tuition province-wide. Um,
Oh, maybe I did hear about this actually.
and yeah, and Quebec famously has like some of the cheapest post-secondary in the country, and like I think maybe even the world. Um, so
Because they
anyways, they were
force you to speak French.
yeah, because well, no, they have some English unis.
uh,
Anyways, so the students were like obviously pissed off that they were gonna like start raising tuition and shit. Um, so they did like huge walkouts, like every cégep, which is like college and university, just like the students would not go to class. And like you can look at pictures, they're like flooding the streets, and yeah, they did like a they wanted a tuition freeze and free education. I think like
which is based.
which is based, but I think like thousands of people were arrested. It says like 3509.
Mm. Another thing worth noting for this side of the record. So the also just this record as a whole, I'll describe it. The actual vinyl copy is split onto two discs, but one of the discs is a 7-inch. So you've got a 12-inch full record for the 20-minute tracks and a 7-inch for the shorter tracks. And the weird thing is, because the track list is 20-minute track, 6-minute track, 20-minute track, 6-minute track, you, instead of flipping the record, you switch to the other record after each side.
Yeah,
It's
that's really
weird.
odd.
It does lead to me sometimes just not listening to this record on vinyl.
Right.
But it's not like as bad as I thought it was gonna be when I first bought it. But yeah, on the 7-inch, on one side there's the what's his name, the dog for sausage. But then on the other side there's like etched into it a link to a video, and the video's down now, but it used to be a video of that event with the dog. And it's just based.
Okay, so
Based
we've confirmed
dog.
anti-award shows. They're pro dogs and they're pro protest
They're literally communists. Like
complaints here.
they are explicitly communist, like
based.
in everything. But yeah, this final ambient piece is far more of a traditional ambient piece. There's this glass piano and these lighter soundscapes that bring and build this incredible atmosphere. And it brings back that same harmonic note I was talking about so much, that reminded me so much of the Glow Part 2. The strings eventually do go a little sour, but it never gets intense like the first piece. It's grounded by the same harmonic. And when the drone metal distorted guitars and noise kick in, it's still very harsh, but it's not aggressive. Instead, it lends perfectly to this more relaxed soundscape that, before leaving us with another very, very stripped back soundscape to close us out. And yeah, that's the end of the record. Y'all got any final thoughts?
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I as we have gone on, it's not that like I think they have gotten any worse by any means. They're like the opposite even, but it's I have been less blown away than I was when I listened to like F sharp, A sharp, Infinity. You know, like that was just like that before. And I'm happy to continue to hear things that to me sound like that, you know, which is largely what this discography journey has been. But I'm just not as blown away by it, which is like not even a criticism, I feel.
Yeah.
It's just that like
my
I'm
initial
now
thought, my initial thought was actually to have us take a break when they took a break.
For 10 years?
Yeah.
really.
We'll come back in
It could have been
2031
interesting.
to finish up the discog.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, it's like the music is as good as ever. Better than the last album. Even I would say, like I enjoyed this one substantially more than Yankee UXO. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I just like this is it's more Godspeed, which I'm happy with. More slightly better Godspeed as well, and that makes me pretty happy. I enjoy this. Good stuff.
Yeah. Pete.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like this is easily like as good as they were in the early 2000s, like turn of
Yeah.
the century.
Absolutely.
And I don't feel like they're ideas just because they're
Yeah.
returning to like a theme or an emotion or um like this very much feels like a 2010s post-rock album, not like a 2001.
Yeah, and I don't mean really to like say that it's like recycling the same ideas or that it's old stuff, but just that it's like it's just it is very Godspeed to me in a way, like like when we were going through Death Grips, like a lot of those albums, you put them side to side, don't really sound like each other in the same way. And I
Okay,
know that
okay,
there
okay.
are like there are some pretty substantial differences album to album here as well, but like nothing quite so striking as jumping between different.
I think I don't
So
know,
it's
it's kind of apples to oranges, I think.
No, yeah, like
Because like
sure.
most bands, every album
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
similar.
yeah, I think also like
yeah.
We
uh
kind of spoiled you with Death Grips, to be honest. Like nothing quite hits like Death Grips, as you
Right.
said.
well, I think it's a weird
Yeah,
it's
and
the comparison because Death Grips is really like heavy on um like shock value and
sure.
on see and um Godspeed's more about like drawn out arcs and
Right.
musical journeys and stuff. So I feel like it makes sense that their discography itself is like more of a long journey
Hmm.
as opposed to like um, a more frenetic band would be like jumping around to different sounds and different
Yeah.
genres.
Yeah, asking me my thoughts on this album feels like asking me like my thoughts on like episode 4 of a TV show, or maybe more like season 4 of a TV show,
I could see
It's the
that.
same show. I enjoy the show.
Yeah, it's the Gods
Um
cinematic
I had a
universe.
yeah.
terrible thought that I shouldn't say, but I'm gonna say
What
it anyway.
Evangelion reference were you going to make?
Yes. I was gonna say Godspeed is the Lord of the Rings trilogy and Death Grips is Evangelion.
Hmm. Uh,
I'm not even going to
I
fight
don't
you
know.
on
I
that.
don't know about that. I don't know
I don't
about
know
that.
about that either. That was like top of my mind, and I almost like burst out laughing when I thought it.
We've all had some very hot takes today.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yours are wrong.
I think I had the hottest take still. So
Yeah. Anyways, what do you think about this record, Peter? Are you about to have a hot take? I doubt it.
no, I think I most of what I had to say. Um, yeah, I think this is really fantastic use of instruments in a way that like evokes very specific feelings. Um, I mean, they're always leaning into apocalyptic stuff. This is no different. This feels more like um, I'm struggling even to find the words. Um, um, this feels more like military post-apocalyptic, maybe
I can see that.
in like a town that's been like razed to the ground, or like
Well, it's
a
very
place that has
evocative of
like
that
nuclear
album cover.
radiation or something. Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, and I mean they always have associated their images with their music really well.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think this is easily up there with like their early albums.
for sure.
I
Um,
agree. Yeah, 100%.
and I think maybe Yankee gave me like um a little bit of a fear that they would like that that slight dip in quality was going to become like a heavier dip in quality, and I'm
It seems
really
like they were
happy.
also afraid, and that's they took a break.
Maybe.
It's yeah,
But
it's
I'm really
possible.
happy that the reunion brought back Skinny Fist's level of immersion.
Did you know that that Pitchfork gave Yankee a 4 out of 10?
A 4 out
A
of
4 out of
Damn.
10.
Damn.
damn. Well, did you know that Pitchfork is
Bad? Yeah.
Pitchfork?
I mean, I went off about Pitchfork last time.
Yep. It's becoming a weekly tradition, huh?
Yeah. My thoughts on this record are that
Your thoughts? What do you think?
it's really fucking good. Like, this is probably a very hot take, but I think this is like maybe like at least close to equal with F sharp A sharp for me. Like, it is fantastic.
I was thinking the same thing about Skinny Fists, but I think our rankings of Skinny Fists and F sharp are inverted for each other.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
I don't think you get into hot territory unless you're gonna say it's better than F sharp. I'm okay with what you're saying now, though.
I'm like right
Don't-
right on that
stop
border
that.
though.
Stop
Like I'm
that.
not quite there yet, but I'm gonna be like listening. Like before our last episode, I'll listen to the whole discography again, and see. But they're tied right now. But yeah, this thing's fucking awesome. I don't have much else to say that I haven't already. It's just a fantastic and very unique return in their discography for a band that does kind of do that one thing, and they do it really well. They did like switch it up in a few really interesting ways here that really work for them. And because I don't remember the next two albums, I am really excited to see where they go next.
It's like you have
don't-
3
You
whole
don't
new
remember them, or
albums
you
to
haven't
look
heard
at.
them?
Hmm?
You don't remember them, or you haven't heard them?
I heard them like 2 years ago once, so I don't remember anything. So basically I haven't heard
So
them.
were they that good?
Well, I also didn't remember, like, I went through the whole discography and didn't even remember Skinny Fist. So like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, like I didn't get it that first time, but that was like right when I was getting into music. But yeah, rating.
Top 5 tracks.
Hmm.
My
It's
top
a-
5 tracks are melodic. Their helicopters sing, we drift like worried fire, and strung like lights at the printemps imséchable.
Really? My top 5 was gonna be Drift
Oh, and
Like Worried Fire,
mm.
Their Helicopters Sing, Melodic, Strung Like Lights at the Printemps d'Érable, and their speech at the 2013 Polaris Music Awards.
Damn. All right, Wyatt, give it to us.
It's an incredibly strong 8 from me.
Okay, I thought you were gonna give it a 7, so that's better than
No,
I
no,
came
no,
in
no,
expecting. It's probably just like my natural inclination to say 8 is a record I love, and you started with I don't love it, so
My natural inclination is 7 is like an average enjoyable thing.
I think
So
Wyatt's
8 would be just above average.
I think Wyatt's ratings are also like more objective, maybe.
what?
Well, hold on. No. I get what Peter is saying. Peter is
No,
like
I'm saying that Wyatt ranks them on how
Not how much I
you
enjoy
like
it.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, but
I
then
d-
again,
I didn't
you gave a
mean-
promise of
I-
5, so
I
I
didn't
don't know
mean
if I
that-
buy
I
that.
didn't mean Wyatt's ranking was correct.
Well,
I meant that he ranks them based on how good he thinks they are.
It goes like if I have neutral feelings, I default to like trying to assess quality, I suppose. You know, like if I don't have a very strong reaction to it either way. If I have a strong positive or a strong negative reaction, then I will assess it in a more
Mm.
my appreciation of it personally.
All right, Peter.
I was gonna give it a 9.
Hell yeah, you were.
Yeah.
I'm also.
And I still am.
Hell yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So am I. I'm gonna give it a strong 9. One of their best. And that's it.
It's definitely up there.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
let's cut this short. Well, not short. We're done. We're
That's a podcast.
next episode. We're gonna talk about.
Asunder?
No. That's next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, next episode we're talking about The Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden to get you into metal.
Well,
Yeah.
last time we were supposed to do Godspeed, but we did it today instead.
Yeah, because you screwed up, Peter.
So should we still keep Godspeed on Sundays?
I think we're probably good to switch to weekends because that actually does line up with when the next album comes out as well. That'll keep us on the same day. So
Okay, so next week is Number of the Beast.
next
Or
episode
next
is Number of the
episode,
Beast, and next
that's
week
what I
is
meant. Yes.
is Asunder, Great and Other Distress. Is that what it's called? I'm not looking at the title.
Got you.
It might be better to describe it as a week from now rather than next week.
Asunder, Sweet, and Other Distress.
I got it right. All right, let's call this a podcast.
That is a podcast.
Sure.
Thanks, Wyatt. See ya.